Well, hey man, we're here at Triple Play with our buddy Marv back from Creation Association or Missouri Association for Creation. Better say it right? And Marv, tell us about the penguins, man.
So, well, these are awesome animals. Of course, they're all awesome. The way God created these animals is amazing. But right here in this area are Humboldt penguins, and inside there are rockhoppers and pink penguins and Gentoo penguins. And a lot of people think that penguins live where it's like freezing cold, and that's true, they do. But actually, these Humboldts here live on the west coast of South America. So they're actually, a lot of them are below the equator.
Oh wow!
So that's these particular ones. But I thought I'd tell you today mainly about the emperor penguin.
Okay.
Because the emperor penguin actually lives in Antarctica, which, well, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they are in Antarctica, where it is below zero year round. And not only that, Antarctica is the windiest planet or the windiest continent on planet Earth.
Really?
So it gets really cold down. And the life cycle of an emperor penguin is absolutely amazing. First thing that happens is the mother penguin lays an egg. All right. Now, if that egg sits on the ice for more than a minute or so, that chick is dead in the freezing cold.
Wow.
So what happens then is the father penguin, he will roll that egg up on his feet.
Oh wow!
He's got to keep that egg on his feet, and he covers it up. There's actually a layer of skin here that he covers it up, and it's actually the male that incubates the egg, and he incubates it at 95 degrees in that freezing cold weather.
So it's all body heat.
It's all body heat, correct. Okay. And the first thing I thought of when I was studying the penguin is, well, wait a minute, he's standing on the ice, don't his feet get cold? They have no heat loss out of their feet, so they can control the temperature in their feet.
Unlike us, when we put our hand on something, we have heat loss exchange there, but you're saying there's no heat exchange where there's no loss. They're constantly regulating it, so it stays exactly the same.
They regulate the heat in their feet, so they can stand on that ice, but they have to keep that egg off the ice for 2 months because Mama, after she lays the egg,
Okay.
and
The
rolls
lays the egg, the guy gets it. He's there now. He's stuck.
he's got it on his feet. She goes out to sea. She ain't coming back for 2 months. So he's got it for 2 months. He's got to keep it off the ice.
So where's mom go for 2 months?
Mom's out feeding, getting food,
Getting fat, basically. Gonna get fat, so
getting fat.
coming back fat.
Because when she comes back and she feeds the chick, the way she actually does it is vomit up the food for the chick to eat. So baby chicks actually eat mama vomit. I always ask the kids when I talk to the kids about this, aren't you glad we don't do that?
It's disgusting and yet unique at the same time.
Well, but here's the deal. While the mom's gone, he's got to stay warm in that freezing cold weather because he's going to lose half of his body weight while she's gone. So here's what they do to keep warm. It's called a penguin huddle. And they all huddle together like this.
Okay.
Okay? Every one of these guys has an egg on their feet.
And you're saying that they get close like this, and by getting close, they're exchanging body heat this way too, and they're keeping their warmth kind of regulated together.
Right, but not only that, Josh. You look at the picture and you go, wait, this isn't fair. Those guys in the middle, they're staying nice and warm. These guys on the outside, they're facing all that weather.
That's true.
Except that you can see videos of this online. They have a pattern and they work their way to the middle and then they work their way back out to the outside. So they all take turns.
So they're also constantly in a movement of some sort over time.
Right. So
Okay.
they take turns in the middle to stay warm and on the outside. So they do this for 2 months.
Okay, 2 months.
And just when the egg is ready to hatch, The mom gets back.
Okay.
Now, how she knows, I guess she's got a clock in her head. But another thing that's interesting about it is, if you think about it, she's as far away as 200 miles.
Okay.
And a penguin can dive up to 1,800 feet, which is the length of what, 6 football fields.
I was gonna say that is a long dive down if they can dive like that.
Right.
But of
So,
course, you're gonna have to get through the ice layer anyways, because the food is gonna be farther down, right? And
right,
probably.
right.
Not gonna get
warmer down there. Yeah. So, at any rate, um, they have several things in their body that allows them to do that, because obviously oxygen levels get really low when they're diving, but they have a special hemoglobin that regulates the oxygen.
Okay.
And they have solid bones, so that reduces tissue damage when they dive that deep. I mean, God, listen, our God thinks of everything. Okay.
Yeah, I would think if you're going deeper too, you got to have the high density bones here. Otherwise, as you go deeper, the pressure of the water would start to crush you, right?
Exactly.
So they got to have higher density bones, right? Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
But they can also shut down non-essential organ functions while they're diving deep. So they've got all kinds of. So mom's out to sea.
Mom's out to sea,
and they
all these unique things that God put together, so she can go dive down and get all this food, get fat, come back and throw up all her food. Little kids can eat. She's coming back. The male's like, I've been here for 2 months keeping this thing warm. Thanks God that Mom.
But think about this. In Antarctica, there aren't any like landmarks, and they're like as far away as 200 miles, and they got to find their way back. There's not. It's like ice and snow, and there's no landmarks.
Yeah, it's not easy to find your way back.
So scientists decided we got to figure out how they can find their way back, because it makes no sense that they could be 200 miles away in nondescript landscape where there are no landmarks they can pick out. So they took a mama penguin,
Okay.
and they put her in the middle of nowhere.
And she found her way back, didn't she?
Well, not only she found her way back, here's what they found out. She was going immediately the correct direction.
Huh?
And then the sun went behind the clouds, and she got confused. And then the sun came back out, and she immediately got back online. So they know it has something to do with the sun, but they don't have any idea what. So anyway, now mama comes back. The baby's hatched.
What?
Mama takes care of the baby.
Okay.
The dad hasn't eaten for 2 months.
Man, he's starving. He's ready.
So
and his most movement he's gotten has been going in a circle to stay warm, right?
right. So he goes out to sea so he can eat. Meanwhile, she hatches the baby.
Okay.
And after the baby's born, they take turns going out to sea and eating and feeding and everything. Oh, and then mama lays another egg. The whole thing starts all over again. The whole process starts back over.
So how often do they lay eggs? About every 4 or 5 months, 6 months?
Yeah, it's somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay.
Somewhere in that vicinity. And then the whole mob gets together and the dad keeps the egg on the feet. The whole thing starts all over.
They all have eggs about the same time then.
Right.
Dude, that's another thing that God had to make where they all biologically kind of have eggs at the same time. Otherwise, if they don't, they're not in a huddle together, right?
Well, and they have an actual breeding ground. It's called a rookery. And
Okay.
it's a breeding ground where
They know where to go to mate and to have these eggs.
right. Unreal.
What a God.
But some other things about penguins that are neat. First of all, their feathers are waterproof. Okay, now you think about these penguins that are diving in this icy cold water. Okay, their penguins are waterproof. Now, if you look at, so their feathers are waterproof. Okay, and this square down here is 1 square inch. They have 100 feathers per square inch, and they're layered. Okay, they overlap each other.
Wait a second here. So you're saying that little right there
Yeah,
would have 100 feathers?
there'd be 100 feathers per square inch.
Wow.
Now, the penguin can also, because his feathers are overlapped, he can trap air under those feathers. I'm going to show you something really neat they can do because they can do that.
Okay.
But they can trap air under those feathers, okay?
All right.
Waterproof, air between layers of feathers. That freezing cold water never gets through to their skin to make it cold.
Huh?
So that's another design feature that God put into it. But also, most penguins live 75% of their lives in the water. So they're designed to swim. And actually, their wings are like paddles.
We got one making a noise right there. We go. I don't know if they can see that. Let's bring this up here so they can kind of see that. Yeah, here's a couple over here. Yeah, he was wanting to make a little bit of a holler, so I thought we better take advantage of that. You don't always get that.
At any rate, their wings are like paddles. And if you go inside, if you see them inside and they're swimming, they look like they're flying when they swim because they're doing this.
Okay.
So,
But they're not flying.
no. See, water is 900 times denser than air. That's going to be important for something I tell you in a few minutes. But they have the strongest muscles of any bird. And actually, because they swim so much,
Okay.
and they get exercise, a penguin could actually break your leg with his wing.
Really?
That's according to everything I've read. That's the case.
That is.
And their torpedoes,
Muscle.
their body is shaped like a torpedo.
But again, I mean, you think about it, that they have to have a lot of muscle because if they're diving down that deep,
Right?
you've got to have something that's going to give you some massive thrust to go down that deep, right?
Right.
Again, because your body still has to be able to come up, which means it has to have enough air or oxygen within the hemoglobin to pull them back up.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Now, here's what they do with that air that they trap under their feathers.
okay. So when they're
So
doing that,
now-
they're trapping air underneath the boat.
Well, no, not exactly. But
Okay.
like the mama, when she goes out and she comes back,
Okay.
and now she's got to get back up on the land. Well, these guys here, it's all designed so they can just walk up out of the rocks and get out.
Right.
Now think about these penguins in Antarctica,
Right.
and you got ice that's this high, and they're trying to get out of the water. How do they get out of the water? Well, first of all, you'll see them come to the, and there's videos on this. Okay, if you put in penguin launch, you should be able to see it on YouTube.
Okay.
But they come to the surface and they ruffle their feathers,
Uh-huh.
and what they're doing is trapping air under their feathers. Okay, so then they dive. Okay, they turn around and come back up, and as they do, they release the air that's under their feathers because water is 900 times more dense than air.
So that's going to
So by releasing, so by releasing the air, they are surrounded by air bubbles, and they can swim 2 to 3 times faster because they're surrounded by air instead of water. And they launch out like a flying fish. They launch out and land on the ice in Antarctica.
My goodness.
Now, I always ask the kids when I'm teaching on this, how do you figure they knew how to do that? I mean, did they like get together and say, "Hey, wait a minute, I need to get in the water. We better figure out how to get out because I'm looking around. I don't see an easy way to get out."
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they can thrust up and they get over the, half a foot, several feet of ice, that's amazing.
So it's an interesting video to watch. You can see as they're swimming up, all of a sudden you'll see the air bubbles released, and then they shoot out of the water.
Wow.
Absolutely an amazing animal. That's good. Incredible.
Incredible. Never knew that.
Well, you're going to hear a lot of things today you never knew.
I love it. I love it. But
Yeah.
hold on here. Let's see if we can catch a little bit here.
safe.